Hi folks, my name is Mark McKenna and I teach the photo and video journalism classes at Cal Poly Humboldt. My primary reason for taking this course was to learn to leverage technology and Canvas and make my course more accessible by using UDL and backward design. Most of my assignments have very specific steps for successful completion. Even using images, headings, and dividers to try and break them up, they still appeared to be a wall of text that seemed anything but approachable. After learning to use the templates for multi-step assignments, I was able to make assignments that look and feel easier to navigate. The templates were also very helpful in helping me to focus my objectives and outcomes and to organize the steps and make them more succinct in each of my assignments. They include an accordion that allows you to collapse and expand each step so it doesn't seem so daunting. I was also interested in interactive videos, but was not able to fit them into the schedule for this class. I will be going through the tutorials for building these out for some of my online tutorials and skills building assignments. These will be very useful for small assignments with specific goals like learning to create a crop tool preset or a batch rename template for renaming my students' images in their photo assignment requirements. When I started this course, I was a bit overwhelmed with some of the academic terminology. I come from a journalism background, and many terms were new to me or I had a very rudimentary understanding of them. As I continued to learn the materials in this course, I found I actually used many of these without even knowing the name for them. For example, scaffolding is very important to my classes, as students must learn basic skills of using the camera and software before moving on to more complex skills. All of my skills building assignments have always used backward design before I even knew what that meant. I start with a specific skill they must master and build out an assignment to guide them through the steps to cement that skill into memory. As I continued through this course, I created a micro lecture for one of the most fundamental skills that a photo student must learn: learning to use the camera in manual mode and set the aperture, shutter speed, and ISO for a proper exposure using the camera's built-in light meter. Students must master this before learning the next level, which is depth of field, or how much of an image is in focus in front of and behind the subject you focus on. As this class progressed into the rubric section, I realized I needed to update my assessment of this basic exposure assignment to make sure students had a full understanding of how important this skill is to all other aspects of their future photo assignments. Rubric redesign was a real eye-opener for me in terms of how I assess students in my classes. I've used a pretty basic rubric for my classes, but seeing the rubrics of others in this class inspired me to make a much more detailed rubric with more clearly stated parameters. I would like to give a shout out to William Dolphin for the incredibly detailed and insightful peer review I received. I'll be making some additional changes that specify the point range for each category on my rubric and which of these will allow for resubmissions. For example, a missed deadline cannot be made up, but if a student's captions need some work to receive a top grade for that criteria of the assignment, they can make corrections and then submit them to increase their grade. Another example would be if a student submitted images that still needed some more processing to be ready for publication. They can do the additional processing and then resubmit to increase their grade. Moving forward, I'll be taking the skills I learned from this course and using them to make improvements in my own courses. I'll start with redesigning all of my rubrics and reevaluate my assessments. One thing I plan to add to my reading assignments is a self-check allowing students to evaluate what they feel are the key takeaways from the reading assignment and how confident they would feel applying them while covering an event for that specific category of photojournalism. Next, I want to add more agency to my technical photo assignments. They're designed to isolate and teach a specific skill like depth of field, and the assignment guidelines are pretty rigid and don't allow for much creativity. I'm looking for a way to change that. And last, I'll be making transcriptions of all of my self-created tutorial videos. I spend a great deal of time making them very detailed, including using Camtasia, which allows me to zoom in on a particular area of the screen to highlight tools in Photoshop and Bridge. While taking the course, I remembered a question that asked if the transcripts were available for my videos for people that preferred to read. It hadn't dawned on me that some students might prefer more of a textbook format than a tutorial video, but I feel this would make the tutorial more accessible to folks that learn differently. I'll combine the text with relevant screenshots to make more of a text-back format. I'd like to take a quick moment to thank the facilitators of this class for your valuable feedback and your insights. It's been great. I'd also like to thank my fellow students. I didn't comment on everyone's assignments, but I looked at a lot of people's work. Your comments, your feedback, and your work was an inspiration to me. I went into this course with the goal to learn how to make my Canvas assignments more approachable and to redesign them with a more mindful approach, including universal design and more clearly state goals and objectives. I got so much more than that. Journalists by nature are curious people, and we tend to be lifelong learners. This course has helped me to fulfill my goals and to help me assess what else I can do to learn to be a more effective teacher. Building off of these skills, I look forward to gaining more skills and insights into how I can help inspire my students to find their own visual voice and hopefully the same passion for photography and documenting the world around them that I have.